God of our weary, He's God, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought, hallelujah, He's brought far on the way, Thou who hast got thy eyes, let us into the marvelous light. Keep us forever in the path, Lord, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we beg thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was assigned a task to introduce to you a very special person, a very special guy that has been in our homes for, as long as I've been in Meridian, and that's approximately 20 years. So when I was asked to introduce to him, it was a pleasure as well as my honor to introduce the MC to today's special program honoring Dr. King legacy. The MC is a native of Florence, Alabama, and a graduate of the University of North Alabama in 1984. He started his career with WTOK in 1986 as the sports director. During that time, he was a household face in name throughout East Mississippi and West Alabama for one of my favorite segments, Football Friday. After 31 years in sports, he moved to the 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. news anchor and reporter. He loves to be active throughout the community. He's always answering the call when his name is being called. He has served as the tournament director for the Steve Hull Memorial Golf Tournament for the past 17 years. He has received the Best Sportscaster of the Year award several times. He is also a father of 2 beautiful children, Anna, who is a teacher at Northwest Rankin High School in Brandon, and Jackson, who is a junior at Mississippi State University. Finally, after all that has been said about Lindsay, the most time things that I hear is, wow, Lindsay is so nice. Wow, Lindsay is a really cool guy. But the best thing for me, he is my friend. Please welcome and show him some love, our MC today, Mr. Lindsay Hall.
That's one cool girl right there. She could have said a lot more things about me. I'm glad she didn't. Thank you. This is, I've been here a long time, and did any of you see Good Morning Meridian today? Anybody see Andrea's last show? That means, let's see, we've lost in the last 10 years or so, John Johnson, not lost, I mean, they're still with us, just not the station. And Barbara Kidd and Andrea today, which means now I'm the last dinosaur remaining at WTOK. But thank you. This is the first time that I've gotten to do this. This is a true honor for me to be here and to be here. And I'm glad I didn't have to come up here after the song. That certainly would be a tough act to follow. We're going to get the program going and keep it fast-paced today. We're so glad that you're here today, and we want to keep it serious but have fun at the same time. I think that's what Dr. King would want us to do. I really do. Please welcome Dr. Angela Payne, the MCC Director of Admissions, here to the podium.
Well, good afternoon. My job today, obviously, is to extend a hearty welcome to you all. But before I do that, there are some formalities that we need to attend to. I've been asked to share a few reminders that we hope will enhance your experience here at the McCain Theater. For safety and enjoyment of all guests, please you are reminded that no food or drink is permitted here in the theater, and that we ask everyone to take a moment to silence your cell phones or other electronic devices. Additionally, please keep the aisles clear during the entire program and take note of the exit nearest you. Thank you for your cooperation. We also have some very special guests with us today as a part of our program, and as I call your name, will you please stand and be acknowledged? We have with us the Honorable Mayor Percy Bland. We also have some municipal leaders with us this afternoon that are past and present to the administration. We have currently serving Ms. Fanny Johnson. Will you please stand? And we have among us retired civilian employees, Mr. Jesse Palmer and Ms. Mary Perry. And from our good friends over at Lauderdale County, we have with us Dr. John Kane, who is the superintendent of Lauderdale County Schools. And the curriculum director today with him is Ms. Cheryl Thomas. And the assistant superintendent, Mr. Ed Mosman. And we are delighted and most honored to have with us today highly regarded friends to the institution, Mr. Cornelius Beal, who is the brother of the late and highly regarded Dean Billy Beal, who is Associate Vice President, longstanding at our institution. Mr. Cornelius Beal. Thank you for being with us today. And then lastly, we also have principals and other administrators from across the district, the Lauderdale County District. And if you're present, any administrators across Meridian Public School District and Lauderdale County School District, please stand at this time and be acknowledged. Thank you. And lastly, they will be brought to the program a little later, but we also would like to recognize the Honorable Judge Veldora Young, who is on our podium today. And now for my actual task. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This was written by Dr. Martin Luther King from a Birmingham jail in April of 1963. Answering to his critics, he wrote, "We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." Just as it did then, those words stand today as an open invitation to all humanity to consider one another's afflictions and to be receptive to improving each other's plights for the good of our whole globe. Dr. King's profound letter welcomes us to a table of justice and gives way to freedom and equality for all mankind, and it serves in any place where injustice looms. Welcome to the 2019 MLK Junior Commemorative Program. Today, we meet to honor a prolific ambassador whose teachings and leadership have guided us all to a space to this space to reflect, to reason, and then to act in goodwill toward one another. Therefore, it is in the spirit of Dr. King's words, as expressed in this letter, that we, the faculty, staff, and students of MCC, welcome you to our program this afternoon. Thank you for coming. We are glad you are here.
May we pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord God, today we come thanking you for this moment, for this opportunity to gather in this room. Father, we thank you that you have gathered us here to be inspired and to be empowered like never before. We thank you for every hand that has had a part in putting this amazing celebration together, that we may leave differently than we came. Father, we ask that you would lead us and this world and this community from any enslavement to hatred, ignorance, fear, racism, injustice, or anything else that prevents us from being the community of love and respect that you want us to be. We remember with gratitude today the witness of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we ask that we have the courage, the determination to follow his example in battling injustice and living the gospel of love. Help us, Lord, make evermore the community what you would have it to be and what you would have us to be. Grant us today, Lord God, an awakening, and let us leave this room encouraged and empowered to not only dream, but to awake and move forward to a new beginning. We thank you that it is so. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Good afternoon again. I think y'all can hear me, right? Okay, but I'm gonna be loud anyway, so. Lowell and I, we are privileged and honored to stand before you today to present our essay winners. Meridian Community College continues its commitment to our community by sponsoring the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Commemorative Essay Contest. Over the past several years, Meridian Community College has given certificates and monetary awards to middle school winners for their well-written and energetic essays. This year's theme for the 2019 year, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Commemorative Celebration is Remembering the Dream as we move forward toward new beginnings. All students enrolled in middle schools were encouraged to write an essay based on our theme. We are very excited with the essays that were submitted this year. Although we are not able to recognize all of the students who participated in the essay contest during our program today, we will ensure that each participant receives a certificate to show that we truly appreciate their willingness to join us in this celebration and in honoring Dr. King's legacy. Congratulations to our winners. We will be recognizing the first, second, and third place winners for each grade. We would like to thank each student, and we ask them to join us on stage as their name is called. We would also like for the students, parents, school administrators, faculty, and other guests to please stand in recognition of their student. Only the first place winner in each grade will be reading their award-winning essay. We will start with the 7th grade winners, and our third place goes to Josie Yosefic from West Lauderdale Middle School. Our second place winner goes to Alexa Reynolds from Southeast Middle School. Congratulations. And our first place winner for the 7th grade belongs to Michaela Hopkins from Clarkdale Middle School. And she will be reading her essay.
Martin Luther King Jr. craved equality for not only his children but everyone. Martin Luther believed everyone should be equal whether they are African American, Caucasian, Indian, Arabic, etc. Dr. Martin helped influence the civil rights movement and he gained the world's respect and attention. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that we should remember our dreams of a better life as we grow and start new beginnings. Dr. Martin preached that we should remember the dream as we start new beginnings. In today's America, we have forgotten the dream. We don't treat people as equal as Martin had wished. Our lives today have different scenarios than in the past. In our world today, we are intimidated by students starting school shootings, different races fighting and killing one another, and we are scared our friends that have come to start new beginnings aren't going to make it. In one of Martin's famous quotes, he said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." This quote means that we begin to lose all humanity the moment we forget about our priorities in life. It is important to remember our priorities when they are needed most in our lives, when we fall under pressure and feel our dreams and beginnings coming to an end. Also, we must learn to live with one another. In our world today, we are bullying one another because someone else looks different than what society expects them to look like. We bully because someone is originally from another country. We bully because someone is trying to start a better life for their future, and we somehow feel like it's going to take away from what we have. When this happens, we forget our morals, and we forget the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. blessed us with. Martin Luther said, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." To summarize this quote, if we don't appreciate and equalize one another, we will all go down together without fulfilling our dreams. Because Dr. Martin was different from everyone. He was bullied by adults that didn't understand his teachings. Just as Dr. Martin's life was influenced by his mentor, a theologian and a civil rights leader named Howard Thurman, in order to change our world, we must look up to Dr. King's dream and live it out from day to day. Knowing the dream, Dr. Martin taught with the hopes that we could all produce new beginnings in with our world today, growing and changing daily. We can't forget the life we've been blessed with. We always must remember what Martin Luther King Jr. said. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
Let's give these 7th graders another round of applause. Although people say I'm very outspoken, I don't know if in the 7th grade I could have gotten up and stood up here and looked out at some of you who are staring back at me and not smiling or anything. So that's a feat to do. So congratulations, ladies. We appreciate you. Now we're going to introduce our 8th grade winners. We'll begin with the 3rd place winner, Taylor Darden from Northeast Middle School. Our 2nd place winner is Kayla McCoy. I'm sure I said it wrong. Khalil, thank you. Khalil McCoy. Nothing like incorrect. I'm sorry. Thank you. She told me her name before we began. I still said it wrong. So I'm human. And our 1st place winner goes to Emma Sowell from Russell Christian School. Congratulations, Emma, and she will be reading her essay.
Dreams. We all have them, right? Whether they're as far-fetched as swimming with mermaids or as simple as making 100 on the upcoming tests, they are there. Some of us work to achieve our dreams, and some do not. Let's be honest though, not many of us make our dreams a reality. If you do, it's usually the small ones. Most of us might not even try. So it might come as a surprise to some that there was one man that did. Martin Luther King Jr. made his dream a reality, and what a wonderful dream it is. 1963. What comes to mind as I say that year? For most of us, it could mean nothing, but for some of us, it meant everything. You see, the year 1963 was the year of I Have a Dream. For those of you who are still confused, it was the year Martin Luther King change the world. No, not by violence or weapons, but by words. He taught us that we do not need to be aggressive to meet our ends, because he changed the heart of a nation in just one speech. You see, many would think Dr. King just wanted the rights of African Americans. That's not the case at all, though. He wanted rights for all people, white, black, Latino, Mexican, male, or female. He wanted us all to be judged by the content of our character, not by our skin color, heritage, or gender. Dr. King even talked about my home state, Mississippi. We were bad, really bad. But now look at us. I know we are nowhere near perfect, but we have come a long way. He proved that people can be better, and deep down we are all the same. So look at where we are now, together, hand in hand to the future. Yes, we still have many problems, and it looks like things are at its worst, but look from where we came. Now all of us can go wherever we want and be whatever we want. Any of us can run a country or be a star if we want to. Look at all we have achieved, and all it took was one strong voice. Without it, we would not be the people or the country we are today. So for all he has done, we remember and thank Martin Luther King Jr. as we move into the future. All right.
And in messing up Khalil's name, I'm not sure if I told you she was from Magnolia Middle School. So we are so proud that we have representation from all of the schools in our district. So you guys can be seated. Well, you ladies can be seated. Thank you so much. We would like to say thank you to Lauderdale County School Districts, Meridian Public School District, and Russell Christian Academy administration, faculty, students, and also to the students' parents. We had over 50 essays that were submitted this year, and so reading through them, we had a hard time picking the winners, but they are very deserving of the win. We truly appreciate your participation in this educational endeavor.
All right, thank you, kids. Aren't you glad you came today now, seeing these kids? We hear a lot about a lot of bad kids. We got a lot of good ones in here today. And Emma, where'd Emma go? Okay, that basketball? Yeah, Mississippi used to be bad. I've been here 30-something years. It's really good now, isn't it? It is good. It is good to be here. There's Ron Turner. Hey, dignitary in here, didn't get recognized. I said her name earlier. I'm gonna embarrass her right now. Andrea Williams is here. Stand up, Andrea. Let's recognize her on her day, please. This is her day today, too. That lady, she has been Miss WTOK for a long, long time. And she hates the limelight, and she hates cameras, and to be in this business is unbelievable. So, anyway, and I'm going to take a tongue lashing from her for doing this. I know that. Watch 5 and 6 today, because I put together an epic package that shows some footage from her from 1999. Ooh! I had to do some digging. We want to, this special time of the program, we want to bring up some of the members of the Charles Young family right now for some scholarship awards.
Good afternoon. I'm quite like Mrs. Smith. You all seem so somber. This is a happy occasion, and all of you all should be excited to be here. When you hear essays like you heard today, it makes you know you're in good hands and that these students are learning things. I know it's always interesting to look at younger generations and feel like they're not doing what they need to do, but that is certainly assurance that they are learning and they get the picture. So, we can liven up and be happy. It's a happy occasion. We talk about investments, and I want to share with you a quote that reads, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." So, today, on behalf of my family, my father, the late Representative Charles L. Young Sr., and my mother, the late Doretha Connor Young, who was a professor here at this fine institution for many, many years, I am excited to present scholarships here today. I hope that the recipients are here, and if you are, I ask that you please come and join me on stage. The first scholarship is presented to Miss Billy Ray Brown. Okay, and she is in the nursing program. The second one is presented to Quentin White. He is also in the nursing program. The medical field is taking us here. Okay, and the last one is presented to Mr. Joshua Redmond. I don't have to tell you all what field he's in. He's in nursing as well. So, thank you all so much. On behalf of my parents, I want to extend to you all congratulations for being in the nursing program, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Okay, can we put our hands together on today? As I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I've been blessed. I've got a testimony. As I look back over my
our fabulous gospel choir with our MCC students. It's now my honor to introduce our speaker for today's celebration. His bio is provided in your program, so I won't read that to you. However, in addition to that information, I believe it is important to share that during the summer of 2018, Dr. Tom Huebner was named the third president of Meridian Community College. And from the day he stepped on our campus, he has been a whirlwind of enthusiasm, creating a positive atmosphere and encouraging collaborative efforts to promote growth throughout the college and our community. He is passionate about education and passionate about supporting students. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention that he is married to his wonderful wife, Mindy, and they are the proud parents of 4 children. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tom Huebner.
Thank you. I have to tell you, that choir just really is great. Y'all are great. Thank you. Pastor Cole and Pastor Cole, y'all pretty good too. I have to tell you, I do a lot of speaking and I enjoy speaking, or just talking anyway. And I'm often asked to speak places. And I have to tell you that when I received the phone call about this particular event, I was like, really? Me? And because it's such a great honor that I would be asked to share any insights or thoughts at an event like this. So I just want to thank the folks from right here at the college who put together this particular event. They really do a great job. And I don't know, I'm just looking at some Victoria, Rhonda, Jennifer, it's crazy. We just got so many good people here who do so much good work, and I'm so blessed and thankful to be a part of this community. So how about a round of applause for them? The folks who put this together. And by the way, Victoria, you're sitting over there. I told you when I get too long, you're just supposed to do this. So if you see somebody go like that, that means I'm supposed to be quiet. But I just need you to know what an honor it is for me to speak here. It is truly an honor. I'm just struck by the idea that perhaps I'm not worthy to speak at an event like this. There are so many people in our community who have lived so many life lessons and have been so many places, who have so much to share, and that I've been asked to just share my thoughts is a true honor, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I believe that community college education is the best place to be in education. I believe that because I think we're on the front lines in a way no one else is. We work really hard to open doors. We work really hard to provide opportunities. And I can talk to you about dozens and dozens of stories I know of students who came to us one way and left another. They came to us with no vision and they left with vision. They came to us without opportunities, and all of a sudden doors opened for them, and scales were lifted from their eyes, and they were able to see what they could do and they could be because of the opportunities that they found in our classrooms. And that's a true blessing for me to be a part of an institution like that. But I'm going to start, though, with a baseball analogy. And those who know me know I love baseball, right, Mayor? It's kind of unhealthy, isn't it? A little bit. I'm looking at another guy who has an unhealthy obsession with baseball too, so it's all right. All right, here's the analogy though. Crossing home plate is the finish. It's the graduation, it's the job waiting on the other side. Crossing home plate is the finish. Some have described the power of affluence in that game. And how they say it is, they say if you're privileged, some say you start the game at third base with no outs. And all you need is a single to score. Others, though, start the game at second or even first. And some start the game at second or first with 1 out, and some start with maybe 2 outs. And if you're on first with 2 outs, to cross home plate, you need a big hitter. All right, so put that in the back of your mind as I move forward. Higher education is changing dramatically. What it used to be like is not what it's like anymore. If I got faculty members and staff members in the room, I know you'll back me up on that. Students are different. It's a different environment, different world we live in. What students need today to be successful isn't what they used to need. Let me give you an example. Students need direction in a way they didn't used to need direction. And I use this illustration, and some of you have heard it, you just bear with me. You'll hear it again, probably another 100 times. It's like, I call it the shoe store example. If you need shoes, you know where to go. You go to the shoe store. But you gotta know you need shoes, right? So you decide you need them, you kind of figure out what kind of shoes you need, you go to the mall, you look, if you don't know where the shoe store is, and you look and on the sign and you see where the shoe stores are, and you make a decision on which shoe store to attend. And when you get there, then sometimes they're organized by size and type, and sometimes you have to ask someone for help. But we like the ones that just have the really cool shoes that are out there. We just pick them right off the shelf and we put them on. Colleges were built like that. They assumed that you knew you needed shoes, that if you knew what you needed, you would know where to go to get what you needed. But nowadays, it seems like people don't know they need shoes. So our systems have to be built differently. We have to think about systems differently than we did back in the day. The systems and processes are even more important among students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, particularly in light of changing policies at the federal level. And sometimes change is better, sometimes it's not, but change always requires rethinking what you know to be true. If the people around you, think through this, if the people around you don't have experiences and that knowledge about the systems and processes, you get lost quickly. It becomes more difficult to change. And when it's more difficult to change, then you just give up. And we see young people around us today who are giving up because everything's changing, and we forget they need us to bring them along. That's our task. Let me give you a few facts. It's going to be a little negative here, but I'm going to get positive soon, trust me. Did you know that the way we're funded at the community college level, looking at my friend Dr. John McCain, he'll tell a similar story. If Dr. Amy Carter were here, she'd tell a similar story. The way we're funded from the state of Mississippi for community colleges has changed dramatically in the last few years. And I'm going to give you a number. It's true. Look it up. I'll give you the source. And my folks have heard me say this. Our appropriation per FTE. FTE means full-time equivalent. So when students come here and they take hours, and then it's divided by a certain formula, and we're funded based on that formula. Our funding per FTE at the community colleges in 2019 is about what it was at our four-year counterparts in 1978. And did you know about half the students who are in college, undergraduate students who are in college in Mississippi, are at a community college? We carry our burden. Did you know that 96% of our students are from the state of Mississippi, and when they graduate from a community college, they stay in Mississippi? They contribute to our economies in Mississippi in powerful ways. Every graduating class of community college graduates across our state through the course of their lifetime will contribute billions to our economy. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, funding of community colleges in Mississippi since 2009 has fallen 22.1%. The Southern Regional Educational Board says that the average cost to educate a community college student is $9,000. But our appropriation in Mississippi is roughly $2,500. covers that $6,000 gap. I see some students. You do. Rising costs of tuition, lower and lower faculty and staff salaries, that covers the gap. But as the gap widens, the opportunities for people become more and more difficult to achieve. More and more people become unaware they need shoes. More and more people are lost in some other system instead of the system they should be in. Did you know that according to InSpark, which is a longitudinal data entity at Mississippi State that looked at the power of tax dollars in Mississippi, they said that for every tax dollar spent at a community college in Mississippi, it yields 386% return on investment. That's higher than any other return on investment for any tax dollar in our state. These dollars matter because students, particularly students starting, hear me, at first base or second base with 1 out or 2 outs, don't need an excuse to walk back to the dugout. But, new beginnings. You know, I said when a dollar is invested here, it returns multifold. You know, that happens no matter where the dollar comes from. Why? Because a community college education transforms communities, because it transforms people. Why? Because we take any and all. We walk people through transformation. We don't say you can't. Why? Because as one of our faculty members I learned about yesterday described to me it this way, it said, there are opportunities for everyone who walks in our door. Our job is to just align the student with the opportunity. Some are grand, some not so grand, but they're all important. But we can't assume the ways of doing things in the past are the ways we should continue doing things. In whatever business we're in, including the business of higher education, we learn from the past, hear me, we're taught by the past, but we forge a new future, not dragged down by the past, a new beginning, deliberately, and with an eye toward creating opportunities in ways we never have before. So you need to tell your friends, your sons, your daughters, your cousins, your church members, your parents, that education, as Judge Graham pointed out to us just a few minutes ago, education is the difference maker. And then you need to put those people in a car and you need to bring them to someone who can help them see the big world in front of them. You don't give up on them. And you don't let go of the message. In a past life, I had the opportunity, and I had some here too, to be able to speak to athletes who were considering attending my institution. And here's what I would always say to those athletes when I got to speak to them. Said, you got a big dream to play professional sports. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have that opportunity. We think you're good enough, I would say. But everyone has a big dream. The dream drives you, absolutely drives you. But when you wake up in the morning, it's not the big dream that matters. It's the daily discipline. By making the right choices right now, that matters. What you do next matters. I've been very privileged over the last few months to be involved with a conversation, and kind of a little conversation group with some, what I think are kind of some heavy hitters in higher education. And one of them's name is Ted Dintersmith, and he was the envoy to the United Nations for Higher Education for the Obama administration, and he and I've been in a conversation via email about what we can all do better to help our students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. How can we cross those bridges? What policies need to change? How do we need to think differently about what we do? If you are from the community, or if you're from the college, you need to advocate for that transformation in any way you can. If you're a student here, wake up tomorrow morning and be grateful. Take advantage of this opportunity to transform your future. Fight for it. We all give up too easy, don't we? Don't let it go without a struggle. All right, so I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. If you know Kansas City, I grew up in an area that's called North Kansas City. So the river splits the city in half, and I grew up literally on the north side of that river. I would always tell folks you could take a baseball and hit the Missouri River from where I grew up. I moved to Georgia in the late 1980s to attend the University of Georgia. And I moved to Mississippi in the early 1990s to attend Southern Miss for my PhD work, and I taught at William Carey. Well, I grew up in what was an integrated community. Even grew up in an integrated church. How about this for crazy? We had African American female deacons at the church I grew up in the 70s. Well, I grew up in an integrated community, an integrated church, but it was just different when I moved here. Hadn't been in the Deep South before. I really didn't know what was different or how or why. I just know it just seemed like people just lived apart from each other all the time. No one complained about it too much, they just did. I started the speech and debate program at William Carey in the early 90s, which really eventually became a very successful program on the national level. I mean, I had all kinds of students who were competing against all kinds of big schools and being very successful. I mean, Roger, Ryan, John, Emmanuel, Matthew. I mean, people you don't know, but they're just world changers, and they're just fantastic, and they're students who transformed me way more than I did them. My first trip with my new team was back home to a tournament in St. Louis. My little team had worked hard, and while I knew we were probably not going to do particularly well, I was proud of them. We pulled out of the parking lot, and as we did, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw my team. What I saw was something I hadn't really thought about until that moment. I mean, these kids were like, friends. We practiced hard. We worked hard together. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, I noticed all my black kids sitting together. I noticed all my white kids sitting together. No one asked them to do that. No one assigned seats. They all liked each other, described themselves as friends, and I was confident of that. I noticed that often, just about every day. I get it. People are always more comfortable with those who are similar to them. The research in sociology says we're more likely to affiliate with those who look like us, talk like us, have similar backgrounds, come from similar socio-geodemographic categories. I get it. But I thought it should be different. So I remembered. I pulled out of the parking space thinking, let it go, let it go, let it go. No, I'm not going to let it go. So I decided to do something really uncomfortable. I stopped the van and got out and went around to the door. I opened it. I told my students, who by this time were really comfortable. I mean, they had pillows. We were fixing to drive to St. Louis. Blankets, pillows, half asleep. We ain't pulled out yet. They were nestled into their seats. Are you understanding? They were ticked off at me. Why? They asked. Because I said so, I responded. And then I made them get back in the van with one rule. You had to sit by someone whose skin color looks different than yours. They thought I was crazy. They laughed, but they did it. I made that same rule when we went to restaurants. Okay, everybody, you got to sit by somebody whose skin color looks different than yours. They were just like, whatever, you're weird, what's going on? For the first part of that semester, I reminded them often. That was just became this, all right, we'll sit by a white guy, I'll sit by somebody black, whatever. But then after a while, I never had to say anything to them again about it, because they just did. It was a conscious effort at first, and then for them, it became normal. I'm not sure most of the students who filtered through my program at William Carey would ever even know about that first trip, and would probably not even know about those rules that I had. But I want to promise you one thing. They all lived that cultural expectation because it was modeled by their predecessors. And it was passed down by the students who came before them. And it was the normal in my organization. And the students who were at the end of my tenure in that role had no earthly idea about that first trip to St. Louis. About the weird new instructor who made them do something they didn't even think was a big deal. At some point, it wasn't about the rule, it was about the principle. And as long as the principle of unity, of openness, of honesty, of friendship was followed, I didn't worry too much about the details of the rule. But here's the conclusion to the story. I'm not a saint. And I didn't solve the world's problems related to issues of race. I wasn't probably even thinking about Martin Luther King Jr. at that particular moment. But I was just a guy who recognized an opportunity, made one simple choice to be temporarily uncomfortable and to make others temporarily uncomfortable so that I, in my way, could bridge the gap. The transformation process starts with a step. I believe that community colleges are the great hope for communities and states and regions with a disproportionate number of people who are from disenfranchised backgrounds. I know, and the research and data support me, that persons of color and persons of poverty can be most comfortable and most successful if they start at a place like this. But each one of us has to commit to, in our own way, opening a door for someone, encouraging them to rise above, and ushering them into transformation. I'm on the downward track now. Let me tell you a story real quick. A few years ago, my son, who's in the 9th grade now, and probably in maybe a year or so, maybe even now, he's going to not be liking me tell stories about him, went to Washington, D.C. with his school. It was a cool trip. He had never been. Got to see all the sights in D.C. And he called me at one particular moment. If you've been to the mall, the Lincoln Memorial, the top of the stairs, you probably know where I'm headed with this. There's a little button on the ground. And that little button is the place where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood and he gave his speech, which transformed the world. There aren't barriers around it. It's a button. My son, who's now just in the 9th grade, 14 years old, stood on that button and called his dad. And he said, "Dad, guess where I am?" I said, "Where?" He said, "I'm standing where Martin Luther King Jr. stood. And I'm just a regular guy." I said, "Son, that's pretty awesome. You're not just a regular guy, though. All of us can stand there. All of us can transform. All of us can lead to transformation. We all can. We're all capable. We all have that opportunity." Just for a second, visualize that young man. Visualize the young woman who's in school, maybe high school, maybe not in school. I want you to visualize the mother who wants to go back to school, but she's worried because she doesn't know how, and she doesn't know who's going to watch her kids while she's away, and she isn't sure she's going to have time to study. I want you to visualize the father who dropped out of school for whatever reason, but is too embarrassed to go back to get his GED. Jennifer, tell me this is not true, because he doesn't want people to know he can't read. Visualize your cousin or your brother who was a football star, but when the Friday night lights were turned off, that's it. Visualize that young man, that young woman, that friend, that neighbor who need encouragement. Can you see them? Are they on first base? Or are they on first base with 2 outs? Here's the deal. I think you're up to the plate. Your turn to hit. Thank you.
Beal Award was created to honor the memory of longtime MCC employee Billy Charles Beal. He dedicated almost 40 years to MCC, and for many of those years, he led the MLK Commemorative Celebration. And when I say he led this celebration, he led this celebration. If something was good, he would say, "Miss Whitlock, that was a good job." If something wasn't good, he'd tell you. So he led the celebration. This award was designed to recognize those that have made or are making a difference in the lives of others through their contributions and service to our community. This year's recipient is Mr. Henry Granger. Mr. Granger is a longtime resident of Meridian. He graduated from T.J. Harris High School in 1962, where he was an exceptional athlete in basketball and track. He attended Pittsburgh State University, where he received a number of accolades for his academic success and athleticism. Upon graduation in 1968 from PSU, he participated in the 1968 United States Olympics. He began his employment with MJC in 1973. While employed here, he became the first African-American male counselor, the first school recruiter, and developed the first recruiting program, was awarded an honorary doctorate degree by the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor for his work in African-American achievements and with African-American students, and was the first director of the MCC Gospel Chorus. He retired from MCC in 1999. The very next year, in 2000, he was declared one of the world's best athletes of the millennium. Since retirement from MCC, he has served as the Executive Director for Prairie Opportunity Community Action Program and as a federal agent with Health Resources Service Administration. Now he is retired from public service, and he says all he does is wait for the postman. He has 4 adult children, some adopted children, one being myself. When I was about to get my master's, when I decided to go into counseling, Mr. Granger made sure that I was ready. He's played a vital role in the lives of many students and non-students. Therefore, it is an honor for me to present to him the Billy C. Beal Award.
Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to stand here. It's been a long time since I've been on this stage. I've been retired, and as they say, I do wait on the postman. It was my pleasure to come to Meridian Community College from Mississippi State Employment Service. Recruited to come and work with the students. That was the joy of my life. Had a lot of great experiences at this institution, and I feel that I'm a part of it. I told the president a few minutes ago I know exactly where he lived in Kansas City because I graduated from Pittsburgh State University in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and I worked for Hallmark Card Company in Kansas City, Missouri, and I lived in Kansas City, Kansas on 7th Street Traffic Way, so you know where that is. Thank you so much for this award. It's an honor. I worked a long time with Billy Beal. I know his work ethics and how he saw things and how he really got out to get things done. To the students of this college, I say to you, I am very proud of you. You're at a great institution. You will do great things. These young ladies that did the essay, you did a beautiful job. And I think that we should just I'm not sure they understood that applause. I think these young people deserve a real applause. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful program, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Today is a great day. Remembering and celebrating the life of and achievements of Dr. Martin Luther King and all the sacrifices that he made. We can never acknowledge how far we have come as a race, as a nation, without acknowledging Dr. Martin Luther King. On behalf of the Martin Luther King Commemorative Celebration Committee and Meridian Community College, thank you to all of our city and county officials for your support to MCC. Thank you to Meridian and Lauderdale County Schools and Russell Christian School for your continued education partnership with MCC. Thank you, Pastor Cole, Ms. Nettles, Don Wright, and the Gospel Choir for your support for the MLK program. Thank you to my church family, El Bethel, my mother and my husband and my daughter. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Dr. Payne, Pastor Cole. Thank you to everyone on stage for your support for the MLK program. Now to our guests of honor, if you would, please come forward and accept these tokens of our appreciation for your support here at MCC. Mr. Lindsey Hall. Pastor Kaiser Cole. Ms. Kanika Parnell, she had to leave to go back to her job, but we thank her so much for blessing us with Lift Every Voice and Sing. And Dr. Hubner, please come forward. We present to you this plaque in appreciation for your support for allowing us at Meridian Community College to continue celebrating the life and achievements of Dr. King. Thank you so much. And a special thank you to our Martin Luther King Commemorative Celebration Committee. The committee members are scattered here and there, and it would not have been possible for today being the success that it was without their help. Committee members, please stand. And as we close, Judge, would you come forward to help us put in the closing song? But we are continuing the celebration in the Castile Gallery, and again, thank you everyone for your support.
If I could get all of you all to stand, please. We'll conclude the program with We Shall Overcome.